Git versus GitHub. They both have Git in the name, but they do different things. Now, GitHub isn't exclusive. There are other platforms, such as Bitbucket, which would fall in the same category. So what are the differences? Well, they both do the same thing. They both track changes. But the difference is that Git is local and GitHub is in the cloud. So as you've seen before, we would make commits. So we'd be updating our master branch locally with our changes. But there's a new command you may want to run, especially if you're working in a team, because you're not going to share the folder on your local machine. And the command you would run would be git push. So in effect, GitHub or Bitbucket, whichever remote Git repository, and that's the key word here, remote, is a place to store your commits and code. Because what happens when we run git push, it's going to go ahead and push this to GitHub, where it's going to keep a track of all these commits in one central location. So then, if we have 5 developers working on the team, they can go ahead and create a branch at this point here, which will include all of your changes you created locally. So what's going to happen is we'll be using Git locally to add the files to our commit, but we'll also pull files down from GitHub that our team might be working on. So this is where the two differences really come in. We'll be using, again, Git locally to interact with GitHub or any remote Git repository. And that's essentially all there is to it. GitHub is a central location to store it, and it really helps enhance the team functionality because you can introduce things such as pull requests, which is where teams can review the changes going in. And don't worry, we are going to cover this in a bit. You are going to become an absolute Git expert by the end of this course. And although the course is labeled as a Git course, we are going to be working with the cloud quite a lot because that encompasses the whole aspect of Git and how it's used and why we use it. So again, I really do thank you for bearing with me in the previous lessons. There's a lot of theory in there, and I've tried to do my best to explain it. And I don't normally say this. If you've had any issues or it's not quite making sense, please bear with me for when we get to the practical part of this, because it will make a lot more sense. And if you're still struggling, feel free to reach out to me or the team, and we'll be more than happy to help. Like I said, there's a lot of theory in this. It can be a little bit confusing, especially when you've seen it drawn out like this. But once you start using it, trust me, you're going to become an expert. The penny's going to drop and you're going to be an absolute expert. It's going to make perfect sense, so don't worry about it. And with that said and done, let's go ahead and jump into the next lesson.